The young and the restless spoilers in the dim light of a secluded corridor, secrets and lies converged into a conversation that was meant to be hidden from prying ears. Holden and Audra had retreated to a private corner of the mansion, a place where whispered words were supposed to remain confined. However, unbeknownst to them, Nate had been lurking in the shadows for quite some time, his presence a silent witness to the unfolding betrayal. The dialogue between Holden and Audra was laced with a cold, calculating tone. Their voices, soft yet chilling, revealed a shared and sinister purpose. They planned to use Nate as a pawn to further their own dark ambitions. Every carefully chosen word painted a picture of premeditated deceit, a plan designed to transform Nate into nothing more than a stepping stone on their path to power. As the conversation progressed, an even more horrifying truth began to unravel, a revelation that struck Nate like a bolt of lightning. He listened intently, heart pounding, as it became clear that the stakes were much higher than he had ever imagined. The truth that emerged was personal, raw, and deeply painful. It hinted at a past filled with betrayal and regret. Nate was left reeling, overcome with shock and sorrow. Tears welled in his eyes as he grappled with the unbearable question, had he truly treated her so poorly? Why had Audra, whom he once trusted, betrayed him in such a devastating manner? The situation grew even more perplexing when Nate caught a startling detail. Audra referred to Holden as her husband. The term echoed through the corridor like a curse. Nate's mind raced. What was really happening behind closed doors? How could Holden and Audra be entangled in such a complex relationship? The revelation was not only confusing but also deeply hurtful. The man he believed was merely a collaborator in a scheme was, in Audra's own words, her spouse. This unexpected twist raised more questions than it answered, plunging Nate into a labyrinth of doubt and betrayal. Devon's earlier warnings about Audra echoed in Nate's mind like an ominous refrain. Devon had cautioned him repeatedly, Audra is not who you think she is. She's a woman with a complicated past, a past riddled with secrets and missteps. Never place your trust in her entirely, or you'll end up betrayed. Now, with every word that seeped from Holden and Audra's conversation, Nate realized that Devon's words were far more than idle advice. They were a grim prophecy slowly coming to fruition. The dialogue continued with a chilling declaration of intent. It became evident that both Holden and Audra shared a single, nefarious goal, to reduce Nate to a state of utter failure. Their scheme was calculated to manipulate every facet of Nate's life, ensuring that he would become an unwitting victim in their relentless pursuit of power. As they discussed the finer points of their strategy, it was clear that Nate was to be molded into a failure, a shadow of the man he once was. Every syllable, every pause, was designed to cement his downfall. Yet, amidst the cacophony of betrayal and scheming, Nate's inner resolve began to harden. Though his heart pounded with the agony of the revelation, he decided to remain silent, feigning ignorance to the conspiracies swirling around him. He would not let himself be a passive victim. Instead, Nate resolved to confront the sinister plot head-on, vowing to teach Holden and Audra a lesson they would never forget. His silence was not one of submission but of strategic contemplation. Every ounce of pain he felt fueled a burgeoning determination to turn the tables. In his mind, Nate replayed every word of the conversation, analyzing each nuance and hidden meaning. How had he been so thoroughly deceived? What had led him to trust a woman like Audra, whose history was as murky as the darkness that now surrounded him? The questions multiplied, each one a dagger that deepened his sense of betrayal. The realization that his own vulnerability had been exploited stung him deeply. He wondered, with bitter irony, if the affection and care he had once believed were genuine were nothing but tools used to mask a darker, ulterior motive. Audra and Holden, for their part, were unaware that their guarded conversation had been infiltrated by Nate's vigilant presence. They allowed their voices to drop, their defenses slipping ever so slightly as they assumed their secret was safe. Their complacency was their downfall. They believed they had ensnared Nate completely, that his silence was an admission of defeat. Little did they know that Nate's quiet demeanor was merely the calm before the storm, a necessary preparation for the confrontation that lay ahead. The betrayal ran deeper than Nate had ever imagined. Every word spoken between Audra and Holden painted a picture of calculated manipulation, a plan so devious that it would reduce Nate to a mere puppet in their elaborate game. The chilling details revealed that this was not an isolated incident of deception, it was a meticulously orchestrated scheme with layers of treachery and hidden agendas. The very foundation of Nate's world was being shaken by the revelation that those closest to him were capable of such elaborate duplicity. As the echoes of the conversation faded into the night, Nate retreated into a silence that was both a mask and a battle cry. In the quiet aftermath, he gathered the fragments of his shattered trust and began to formulate a plan. The lesson he intended to impart was clear: those who thought they could manipulate him would soon learn that he was not as naive as they believed. His silence would soon transform into action, and the tide of betrayal would be met with a force far more potent than any scheme of deceit. In this tangled web of love, betrayal, and ambition, the true nature of each character began to emerge. Audra's enigmatic past and Holden's hidden alliance painted a portrait of two individuals whose combined machinations were designed to ensure Nate's undoing. Yet, even as their plan unfolded with ruthless precision, Nate's resolve grew stronger. His heart ached from the wounds of betrayal, but his determination was unyielding. He vowed to expose the depths of their deception, to turn their carefully laid plans against them, and to reclaim the dignity and strength that had been undermined by their treachery. The looming confrontation was not just a battle of wills but a collision of truths. Nate's silence was the precursor to a reckoning, a moment when the masks of deceit would finally fall away, revealing the true nature of the conspirators. Audra and Holden, thinking themselves masters of the situation, would soon face the consequences of their miscalculation. Their belief that they could manipulate Nate, that they could transform him into a failure, was about to be met with an unanticipated resilience and a thirst for retribution. As the night deepened, the mansion became a silent witness to the brewing storm. Nate's resolve was a silent promise that he would confront the betrayal head-on, exposing the lies and reclaiming his power. And in that moment of impending confrontation, a lesson was about to be taught, a lesson to Audra and Holden that no one, no matter how carefully planned, could truly defeat the spirit of a man who refused to be broken. In the end, the conversation that Nate had inadvertently overheard was a turning point, a catalyst for change that would force each character to face the consequences of their actions. It was a chilling reminder that in the realm of love and betrayal, trust is a fragile commodity, easily shattered by the weight of deception. Nate's silence was the calm before a storm that promised not only retribution but the restoration of his dignity. A storm that would leave no doubt that betrayal, no matter how cunning, would eventually be unmasked. Shadows of deception, unraveling the web in Genoa in the intricate maze of power and secrecy that is Genoa, every whispered conversation and furtive glance carries the potential to upend the established order. Nate, ever vigilant and burdened by the weight of betrayal, finds himself haunted by a conversation that he insists was no mere coincidence. Despite lingering doubts in the back of his mind, questions of whether he might have misheard Audra and Holden during a chance encounter, Nate's conviction remains unshaken. He is certain that every word, every insinuation, was delivered with deliberate intent. Driven by a desire to reclaim control over his destiny, Nate decides to confide in his trusted friend, Devon. Sitting across from Devon in a secluded corner of a local cafe, Nate recounts the incident with painstaking detail. He describes the hushed tones and covert language used by Audra and Holden, a conversation that seemed to bear the unmistakable hallmarks of a meticulously planned scheme. "I know it might sound like I'm mistaken," Nate admits, his voice tinged with both resolve and sorrow, "but every single word I heard confirms that they intend to use me as a pawn. There's a deeper game at play here, and I can't let it go unchecked." Devon listens intently, his brow furrowing as Nate outlines the sinister plan. Nate's plea is as clear as it is desperate. He wants Devon's help in expelling Audra and Holden from Genoa. The stakes, he explains, are far higher than a personal vendetta. They touch on the very integrity of the city's power structure. Beyond their immediate plot against him, Nate suspects that these two are merely the visible tip of a much larger, covert alliance. "There's a network out there," Nate warns, "and I need you to help me find out who else is in this collusion. We must dismantle their operation before it's too late." Devon, a man known for his investigative acumen and unwavering loyalty, agrees to take on the challenge. Together, they set out to trace the murky threads of this conspiracy. Their plan is simple in theory: infiltrate the circles where Audra and Holden move, gather concrete evidence of their machinations, and ultimately expose the web of betrayal that threatens to engulf not only Nate but the entire community of Genoa. Meanwhile, as Nate and Devon begin to strategize their counteroffensive, another investigation is gathering momentum on a parallel front. Victor, a stalwart figure with an unyielding sense of duty to protect Genoa's future, has turned his investigative gaze towards a mysterious new player, Daman. Little is known about Daman, his origins are shrouded in mystery, and his intentions remain as elusive as shadows at twilight. Yet, Victor's instincts tell him that this enigmatic figure could very well be the key to understanding the recent influx of new alliances in Genoa. Victor's concern is not without reason. The arrival of unfamiliar characters in Genoa, especially one as inscrutable as Daman, threatens to destabilize a delicate balance of power that has been maintained for decades. "We cannot ignore these developments," Victor remarks during a council meeting, his tone grave. Daman's presence is a signal, a harbinger of change. We must uncover his true motives and ensure that his influence does not lead to further chaos in our city. For Victor, the investigation is both a matter of civic duty and personal obsession. He meticulously sifts through every piece of intelligence, piecing together Daman's past, his connections, and any hints of the role he might play in the unfolding drama. As Victor delves deeper, he begins to suspect that Daman's interest in Genoa may be linked to the same undercurrents that have drawn Audra and Holden into their covert alliance. It is a tangled web of ambition, betrayal, and power. A web that threatens to entrap everyone who dares to challenge the status quo. Back at his headquarters, Nate pores over his recollections of that fateful encounter. The memory is a double-edged sword. It is a painful reminder of how far he has been manipulated and a catalyst for his determination to fight back. The conversation, now echoing in his mind, has transformed from a mere auditory incident into a clarion call for action. Nate resolves that he will not allow himself to become another casualty in this grand scheme. His silence, which many might mistake for defeat, is in fact the quiet before the storm, a strategic retreat to plan the ultimate counterattack. As the days turn into nights, the tension in Genoa becomes palpable. Rumors begin to circulate about secret meetings, covert alliances, and whispered threats. Both Nate and Victor find themselves at the epicenter of a conspiracy that spans the corridors of power. Their parallel investigations, Nate's focus on dismantling the alliance between Audra and Holden, and Victor's quest to unravel the mystery of Daman, slowly start to reveal interconnected threads. It becomes increasingly apparent that the recent upheavals are not isolated incidents but part of a broader strategy aimed at reshaping the power dynamics in Genoa. For Nate, the personal betrayal cuts deeper than any political maneuver. The revelation that Audra, a woman he once trusted implicitly, was complicit in a plan to use him as a pawn, stings with a bitter irony. He is haunted by the question, did I misinterpret our past? Have I been blinded by trust? Yet, even as the pain threatens to overwhelm him, Nate's resolve hardens. He is determined to confront the forces that have manipulated him, not only to reclaim his own life but to safeguard the integrity of Genoa. In an unexpected twist, Nate's decision to involve Devon brings a new dynamic to the unfolding drama. Devon's expertise in covert operations and his network of informants prove invaluable as they begin to piece together the true scope of the conspiracy. Their covert meetings, held in dimly lit rooms and guarded by layers of secrecy, yield fragments of intelligence that suggest Audra and Holden are not working alone. The whispers of additional allies, shadowy figures who operate behind the scenes, add a new dimension of urgency to their mission. As Nate and Devon prepare to take decisive action, the city of Genoa braces itself for the inevitable collision of ambitions. The emerging alliances, the hidden motives, and the shifting loyalties create a volatile environment where trust is as rare as it is precious. For Victor, whose investigation into Daman is reaching a critical juncture, the stakes could not be higher. The convergence of these parallel narratives suggests that the future of Genoa hangs in the balance, a future that will be determined by the courage of those who dare to defy the conspiracies that threaten to engulf it. In the days that follow, the atmosphere in Genoa grows increasingly charged with anticipation. Every shadow seems to conceal a secret, every whispered conversation hints at treachery. Nate's determination to expose and neutralize the alliance against him becomes a rallying cry for those who believe that truth and integrity must prevail over manipulation and deceit. And as Victor continues to peel back the layers of Damien's enigmatic persona, the stage is set for a confrontation that promises to redefine the very foundations of power in Genoa. The question that looms over everyone, Nate, Devon, Victor, and even the conspirators themselves, remains a haunting one. Was it a misheard conversation or a meticulously orchestrated scheme? Nate, with all his heart and conviction, insists that what he heard was real. And so, with every measured step and every cautious alliance, he marches toward a reckoning, ready to teach those who sought to manipulate him that in the labyrinth of Genoa, betrayal is a gamble that will one day pay its ultimate price. In this intricate dance of loyalty and treachery, every character is forced to confront the painful reality that the lines between friend and foe are often blurred. With the fate of Genoa hanging in the balance, only time will reveal whether Nate's silent resolve and Victor's relentless pursuit of truth can withstand the storm of deception that threatens to tear their world apart.